Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the InVets Virtual Employer Workshop with Amazon. We're going to be learning about maintenance positions today, mostly in the Greenwood, Greenfield areas, which is in central Indiana. I'll be covering some stuff about Indiana here in a little bit, but we can go ahead and get started. Maybe if my slides will work, which they won't. There we go. And now we're too far. All right. Right out the gate with technical issues. So we'll do a quick intro and then I'll explain a little bit about our organization, what our mission is, what we do, and then give you some insight into Indiana for those of you who are transitioning out of the military and maybe don't have anything or any background with Indiana. And then I'll be handing it over to Laura, Mike, and Andrew. They're going to give some of their transition stories. Mike and Andrew are going to, tell us about their transition out of the Air Force, and then what they do at Amazon. And then Laura's going to give a presentation around these maintenance positions that are open, what the hiring process looks like, what it's like to work at Amazon, and things like that. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Blaine Zimmerman. I'm the Director of Veteran Engagement at InVets. I was active duty infantry Army for 6 years and then joined the Indiana National Guard after my active duty time. I got out as an E5, 2 deployments. And I was at 1st Armored Division in El Paso and 10th Mountain Division in Fort Drum. Since I've been in the Guard, I switched over to the dark side and got my commission. So I'm now an infantry lieutenant. I'm a scout platoon leader in Southern Indiana. So that's my background, and I'll explain a little bit more about the rest of the team here in a moment. So InVets was started by Westwood, our executive director, in 2018. And we're 100% veterans that work with the organization. So there are 6 of us in the organization. 3, 4 outside of myself are also Army veterans. My team is the veteran engagement team, Jerry and Jeremy, both Indiana National Guard retirees. Our marketing liaison or guru, if you will, Miranda, she was also an Army veteran. And then Brian, our external affairs manager, he is a Marine and came to us from the White House. He's got a pretty interesting background. So what we do is we provide that digital connection point between veterans that are transitioning or just looking for a new career and employers that are specifically trying to hire veterans here in the state of Indiana. We have almost 200 employment partners at this point. And so they're all over the state, everywhere from Fort Wayne to Evansville, from Gary down to New Albany. And my Amazon guests are probably like, I don't know any of these places. But we cover the entire, all 5 regions of the state, which I'll get into very briefly before we jump over into Amazon. We have right now in the state somewhere around 85,000 open positions. Obviously, COVID kind of moves those numbers here and there. Oddly enough, you would be surprised at how many people are still hiring and still really looking to hire folks. I know a lot of veterans are a little bit nervous about maybe ETSing right now because there might not be jobs out there. Well, there are, and a lot of them are in Indiana. So we have 4 really large industries. We do have more than 4 industries on our site, but the biggest 4 are healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, and technology. A couple of fun facts. Some of the COVID vaccine work is being done here in Indiana between Lilly and a few other manufacturing partners. We're the number 4 manufacturing state in the country, and our technology jobs increased 85% in 2019. So this is a picture of the front page of our website. Those gold statues right there, that's literally our backyard. Our office is just to the right of that photo. It's a really cool area right in the middle of downtown. So if you go up to that top right portion and click on get started, what you can do is you go create a profile. And once you have that profile, you'll have the ability to see our job board. So somebody actually yesterday, I was talking to someone and they said that they told their boss, our site works like a dating site. So you create your profile and then you go in and find the companies that you're interested in. And then the companies let you know if they're interested as well. So it's a two-way street. So the employers can come in and recruit you from our site, or you can go apply directly from the site. And if you do that, the employer will get an email from us saying, hey, this veteran applied through InVets, and it gives you a little bit more exposure and kind of helps open that door a little bit better for you. My team will also do as much as we can to work with that organization and try to do as much as we can to kind of, give you as much opportunity as possible to get your foot in that interview door. The other thing you can do on our site, if maybe you're about to transition and you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, is kind of explore the different industries, career pathways, companies, and things like that. So this is an example of the technology career page. You can see it's got starting salaries, what you could be making in 3 to 5 years, what the growth potential looks like, and some specific jobs that are in that industry. So there may be something that maybe you haven't thought about before. You can go on there and learn about it and then start looking for jobs that are available. Our employers all have, wide range of different information. A lot of them have videos about working at their company. They'll have their different career pathways, and then they'll have all of their open positions on there as well. We have an Indeed feed so that once an employer puts it on Indeed, it immediately pops up on our site as well. So some information about Indiana for those that aren't from here. If you are a veteran and have a disability rating, there's free or discounted college tuition at state schools for your children, both for either military vets that join from Indiana, or if you aren't originally from Indiana, have lived here for at least 5 years post-military service. And then if you have a Purple Heart Medal, your children also get state tuition free of charge. Last year, Indiana House Bill 1010 was signed. And what that means is that military retirement pay will be tax-free in the state of Indiana starting in 2022. So they did it on a tiered system. The state taxes for military retirement pay goes down every year until 2022, when there is no state tax on military retirement pay. We also have property tax deductions ranging from, the numbers that you see on the screen. They basically, it depends on your disability rating, where you live, and things like that. And then we have discounted hunting and fishing licenses, which my employee, Jerry Young, loves to say, the more you can save on your license, the more you can spend at Cabela's on gear. So those are some of the high level, interesting reasons why you might be interested in Indiana and what we're doing as a state to try to attract veterans, because it's something that, we work with the Lieutenant Governor's office quite a bit. And this is a really big effort on their part. They really want to bring veterans to the state because they know how much they mean to the economy and how great they can be for workforces. So we break Indiana down into 5 regions, and I'll break them down real fast. So the Northwest region here in Indiana, we call that the region. It's up by Chicago, a lot of manufacturing, logistics positions. The Northeast region includes Fort Wayne, which is our second largest city in Indiana. The Southeast region is down by the Louisville, Cincinnati area. The Southwest region includes Evansville. And then the Central Indiana region, which is what we'll be talking about today, includes obviously Indianapolis, and then what we call the donut counties, so all of the counties surrounding it. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Greenwood and Greenfield. One of the things you'll learn once you move to Indiana is that there are a bunch of green something towns, and they tend to be confusing and hard to keep straight. So Greenwood is just directly south of Indianapolis. It's a roughly 10-minute drive from downtown. So you get that really ease of access to the city, but you're also a little bit away from the hustle and bustle. It's got a really affordable cost of living down there. And then, you go 10 minutes south in the opposite direction, you're out in the country, you're getting close down to the rolling hills of Southern Indiana. There's a lot of state parks and things like that. So Greenwood is a really great area for no matter what, your interests are. You're 10 to 20 minutes away from any of them. So without further ado, I am going to pass the presenting over to our friends at Amazon and let them explain a little bit about themselves and then a little bit about their organization and the opening roles. And then I'll pop back on at the end and we'll do a little Q&A. So Laura?
Awesome. Thank you. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. Not as exciting of a background as Andrew and Mike might have, but Blaine, I will say after that presentation, you might have Mike, Andrew, and myself moving to Indiana. That was pretty cool, especially the fishing licenses. But so hi guys, I am Laura. I am a workforce engagement program manager with Amazon, specifically focused around RME, which is reliability, maintenance, and engineering positions. So a little bit about my background. I was recruited out of my MBA program at Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and started as an area manager in one of our fulfillment centers down in Florida, so TPA 1, where I worked in kind of multiple different departments with robotics equipment, overseeing a team of generally about kind of 50 to 100, depending on the time of year and the department, and then transitioned into the kind of recruiting, hiring areas, and now program manager, helping kind of create a more sustainable pipeline into some of our maintenance positions. I am engaged to an Army soon to be veteran. Right now, he is going through the med board process, a couple bad jumps landing on in his head. And so has a few concussions and TBIs and stuff like that. So he's going through the med board process right now. Hopefully he will be out here soon and we'll be able to kind of make our next step. So that's a little bit about me. And then we'll pass it over to Mike and Andrew to tell you a little bit about their transition and their background. And then we'll move into the presentation.
Thanks, Laura. Hey guys, I'm Mike Blackburn. I'm a regional workforce program manager for the RME side, reliability, maintenance, and engineering. I spent 14 years in the Air Force, partially as a crew chief on F-16s. Found out I wasn't that great at fixing jets, so I moved over to the recruiting side where I could just talk people's ears off, and a lot more fun. Actually, it was probably equal amount of fun. I did like being a crew chief, but I got out in 2014, about 6 years ago. So if you do the math, I should have retired right now. I don't know if I didn't think I thought it was going to be a hard pill to swallow, but I've landed with some great companies afterwards. But it wasn't without some anxiety and some hard times along the way. You know, getting out of the Air Force, I thought, you know, my resume would do the talking for me. I had what I thought was a great background, had the bachelor's degree, completed, was in, master's degree program. So I thought like I could just hand a resume to somebody and they would just eat it up. The problem is that might be the case, but it just got lost in the shuffle. When we apply to jobs, there's 100, maybe even 1,000 people that are going for that same role. So you have to differentiate yourself. And the big piece that I missed was the networking piece. So you guys are here now, or you're watching, and so that's your first step. Get networked. I worked very hard to get networked after I got my first job. I got really lucky. It was with a healthcare company, a Fortune 500 healthcare company, where I was the military recruiting program manager. So I got to help, my fellow vets, find meaningful employment. And that's the key word I want to hammer home there is meaningful employment. You really want your work to be fulfilling. You get to choose what you want to do now. So, make the most of it. But that's the biggest thing that I was missing, was that networking piece. And and I offer everyone to network with me. Find me on LinkedIn, Mike Blackburn, out of Aurora, Colorado, and I'll shoot my email in the chat too, so you guys have it. But Mike, BLAMIKE at Amazon.com if you want to write it down. Please reach out. Happy to help in any way I can get you guys on the right path. And I'll pass it on to Andrew.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, I did 22 years in the Air Force in the communications and navigations field. So basically radars and radios, primarily on the C-130 gunships. And then I got to move up to Omaha, Nebraska and work on the E-4B. So dealing with aircraft maintenance management my whole career. I got lucky and got to come back down to Florida for my last 4 years. And my biggest takeaway when I knew I was getting out, I essentially knew a year in advance, right? They had given me orders to Knob Noster, Missouri, and it was like Tampa, Knob Noster, Missouri. So I had known I was getting out, so it let me prepare, right? So going to the TAPS classes were humongous, huge benefit. To Mike's point, networking, I would say the biggest takeaway that I learned was being able to interview well. One of the people that mentored me, they said, you don't want your dream job to be your first interview. And in the military, we don't really interview. So I would say that's the biggest thing I have people work on is their interview skills, just practicing. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that helped me. I ended up working with some HR person, career Google HR person, and she said I was horrible. But had I not practiced, I probably would have went to Amazon and interviewed, and they would have said I would have been horrible and just wouldn't have hired me. When talent-wise, I'm just substituting aircraft for conveyors, which I know nothing about, but I know how to lead and manage. So whether you did 4 years or 20 plus years, that's one of the things in the military that they teach us is how to be a leader and manage teams and lead teams. So ensuring that you can have a successful interview and get that 30 minutes where you might be supremely qualified, but you just kind of have a couple hiccups on your interview and it could cost you a really good opportunity. So that would be the biggest takeaway I would hope you would get from this. And I should be on LinkedIn more. I'm really bad at it, so I'm not going to give you my profile, but I will give you my email address, Andrew, that's W-E Andrew at Amazon.com. So if you got any questions or you want to link up, we can do that, and you can just email me, and I'll hopefully be able to get with you within a week's time or so, usually. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So I did, Andrew, I just dropped your email as well as mine in the chat so that everyone did have that. So appreciate you guys giving your background and your transition story. So as you guys heard, I don't have my own, but am doing my part. I try and reach out to all the TAP organizations, family and readiness centers, and make sure that whatever resources we have here at Amazon or whatever networking I have or I've learned from Mike and Andrew, want to pass that along so that everybody is aware of the opportunities that are available once they transition out. So next, we're going to talk about some tips on applying for positions with Amazon. If you've attended any of our military affairs webinars that we do on a weekly basis, you may have heard some of these before, but definitely important to mention. And I know both Mike and Andrew have kind of touched on them already. So the first thing is spend time figuring out what you want to do with Amazon. So you can reach out to myself, Mike, Andrew, other recruiters or contacts you have within Amazon, but we have so many job opportunities. I know today we're talking specifically about maintenance positions, but even within the maintenance field, we have so many different opportunities. Andrew's a regional portfolio manager. Mike and I are program managers, but we have technician, area maintenance managers, building wellness managers. So there's so many different opportunities that are still very different, but within the RME field. So getting an idea, doing your research and knowing what jobs you're interested and qualified for is super important. You can reach out to us, but it's so hard to go through all of the opportunities. Make your resume stand out. Make sure it's translated to where civilians will kind of understand it. And it doesn't just say that you led a team of 10. Well, what did you do? And kind of explain and use data and metrics to talk about what you did, not your team as a whole. So we really get a good picture of what you are capable of. This is a big one. Make sure you meet the basic qualifications. It is very important. A lot of times with many employers, your resume will go through a system. And if you don't meet those basic qualifications, a lot of times you are going to be knocked out. As Mike mentioned, there may be hundreds or even thousands of people that apply for that one specific role. So you want to make sure you meet those qualifications. In a perfect world, even some of the preferred qualifications, but definitely you need to meet those basic qualifications. The system holds your latest resume. So it is important to have multiple resumes. Maybe you are a very talented individual and you have experience in IT, maybe RME and other fields. Have different resumes that are catered towards RME or catered towards IT, and really talk about your skill sets and experiences in those fields. And then as you apply for jobs or the ones you are most interested in, make sure that is the one that you have on our system. That way if the last role you applied for was an RME position, but the bulk of them is IT, might be best to have kind of your best IT resume on file. Geographic flexibility. If you are flexible, you're open to travel, or you're open to moving, relocating, anything like that, make sure you do specify that. Especially in the maintenance field, there's a lot of different opportunities because it's in any Amazon building, whether it's a fulfillment center, delivery station, fresh building, anything like that. There's a lot of different opportunities. So if you're looking to move, or if you're open to moving, make sure you do specify that. I know especially some of the higher level leadership type positions within Amazon may require some travel, whether it's relocating or not, may require travel. You may be overseeing multiple buildings in an area. So definitely specify that if that is an option for you. Utilize keywords if possible. So if you were a specific mechanic and worked on specific equipment, make sure you specify that equipment. Make sure you specify exactly what you did on your resume, keywords that match up with the job description itself. Don't make anything up by any means. Do not make anything up, but make sure you do include those keywords if that is something you have experience in, so that it does highlight your resume if it goes through a system. And if it doesn't go through a system, if somebody's actually looking at it, those keywords are what's going to pop out, and as a recruiter we'll see, oh wow, they do have experience with those tools. The last thing I do want to mention when it comes to kind of working with Amazon is you may not get hired your first round, but don't be discouraged. Even like Andrew said, you may go through multiple interviews. So make sure you do kind of brush up on your interview skills, and make sure you do practice the STAR format and different things. You can kind of Google it and see how a typical kind of Amazon interview goes, and make sure you do practice, you do study, because you're going to go through likely multiple interviews for the same position, but also if you're applying for multiple, you're going to be interviewing with different people. So just make sure you are brushing up on that, and don't be discouraged if you don't get it the first round. Bo Higgins, for some of you guys that may know him, he's kind of the head with our talent acquisition with our military affairs team. He has people that he has worked with that has applied for roles 6, 7, 8, 9 times, super qualified, and it wasn't till that like 9th time that they got that position. So definitely persevere. Definitely don't give up. You may be a great candidate. There's just so many applications that are gone through, usually thousands for one application. So definitely keep kind of pushing and don't give up. And with that being said, just know that as you transition out, ranks don't necessarily correlate to the same thing. So you may hear Amazon, you have L4s, L5s, L6s, etc. Those don't necessarily correlate to E4, E5s, E6s, or 04, 5, and 6, etc. So just know that. Make sure you read the job descriptions, the qualifications, and all that, and find what matches up to you, and not necessarily a rank. So just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. Make sure you're self-aware of what your skill sets are and what your experiences are. If you apply for maybe a senior maintenance manager, but you were never kind of a people leader in the military, that may not be the best fit for you. So I don't want you to get discouraged if you don't get move forward for that type of position. All right, so reliability, maintenance, engineering, RME, you'll hear us say that a lot. So these are our fulfillment center based positions where you would be doing preventative maintenance and repairs on our equipment inside of our fulfillment centers. So the way Amazon Fulfillment Center maintenance works is we hire both directly with Amazon, but we also work with third-party partners that we've worked with for many, many years that help us to staff these positions. We hire so many all the time that it is definitely challenging for Amazon to take it all on ourselves. So we have 4 partners, as you can see down at the bottom, our third-party partners, JLL, CBRE, CNW, also CWS, and then we have ELS Daifuku. That's another one of our partners. So we work with them to help fill these positions. So when you apply for these roles, next to it, when you click on the role you're interested in, it'll specify AMZN, Amazon, CWS, and whatever the company is right next to it, so you know which one you're applying for. All of these positions, you work in an Amazon building, whether it's a fulfillment center, a delivery station, any Amazon building type. That is what you would be doing. They are full-time permanent contracts. And one thing I will say as well is the jobs are the exact same, whether you are a Tech 2 with JLL or a Tech 2 with ELS or Amazon. A Tech 2 does the same things. Your qualifications, all of that are going to be the same. Some buildings may have a maintenance and AR tech and a base building tech 2 kind of rolled into one, and you may be kind of cross-trained to be able to do all of those functions. But ultimately, say you're a Tech 2 with JLL and you may be relocating and the closest building is staffed by Amazon, you can still apply for that Tech 2 position and essentially try and transfer into that role. You would be applying as if it's a new position because technically it's a new company, but the role itself, you would already be kind of qualified and meet those qualifications, which is nice. I do see a lot of movement between kind of companies. So I worked with somebody that was an AMM, so an area maintenance manager in TPA1 with Amazon, and now works as an area maintenance manager in Georgia with I want to say it is JLL. So one of our other vendors doing the same thing. So there is a lot of movement in that capacity as well. Some of the positions, I believe it's the next slide, you can kind of get a better understanding of some of the different positions that we do have available. So you have maintenance tech 2, 3s. We do have some 1s, but most of our tech 1 positions are allotted to a specific program. It's the apprenticeship program that will go public probably beginning of next year. So just kind of keep your eye out if you're interested in something like that. It is a apprenticeship program. It's 15 months paid, and it will help take you from a tech 1 to a tech 2. So again, if you're interested in that, definitely kind of keep your eye out. So you won't see a ton of maintenance and AR tech 1s or base building tech 1s posted because we try and allot those for our apprenticeship program, but you will see some. You have planner scheduler, control systems lead, tech engineer, area maintenance manager. So a lot of different options. There's even some options that we have that may not be listed on here, but these are kind of the bulk of the positions we do hire for. When it comes to the maintenance tech and base building tech positions, no secondary degree is required. So a Tech 2 position usually requires about 3 years of experience, and a Tech 3 position would require about 5 years of hands-on experience. When you get to the leadership positions like an area maintenance manager and kind of above, they do require an associate, but for the most part, a bachelor in a technical discipline. So engineering, any mechanical field. So they do require kind of a bachelor degree in those fields, along with a couple other things. Obviously, the leadership positions, they would want to see on your resume that you have been a leader of technicians or a leader of leaders or something of that sort that correlates to that position. And one thing I will note too is for some of the Tech 3 positions, you will still be leading a team of Tech 1s and Tech 2s, or even apprenticeship kind of Tech 1s. So you're still going to be a leader, just in a bit different of a capacity. Area maintenance managers, for the most part, you will lead the team of Tech 3s and Tech 1s and 2s. And then as a maintenance manager, you will likely be leading multiple buildings and the AMMs and everything that reports to them. So a lot of different opportunities. And I do have a couple slides that show you a little bit of the basic qualifications so you can get an idea that way. I believe it might be. So as you guys have probably heard, with Jeff Bezos, we have committed, we have committed to hiring military and making sure they are at the forefront. We want to take care of them and our military team members as they have served our country and taken care of us. So that is a promise and a commitment. I want to say, I don't think it says on this slide, but it was about 15,000. And I believe we are very close, if not have already passed that commitment that we have made. So benefits with working with Amazon or our third-party partner. So no post-secondary degree required when it comes to the technician position. So super important for the technician positions. There is no post-secondary degree required. We've already talked on the kind of the growth potential opportunities and internal kind of movement. The positions are the same. So if you're a Tech 2 and you're looking to move, regardless of what company you're with, or what third-party partner, you still have that opportunity as well. Also, when it comes to promoting, so if you are a Tech 2 doing really well, maybe with CWS, and you are relocating, and there's a Tech 3 opening with another company, or with another one of our vendors, whether it's Amazon or JLL, definitely apply. If you have those years of experience, so a Tech 2, 3 years, you can still apply for that position, 3 to 5 years, and still kind of be looked at and considered for that position as well. Medical benefits, with Amazon, you have them on day one. I think with most of our third-party partners, same thing. And then when it comes to kind of compensation, regardless of the vendor, the total comp, we try very hard to make sure they are about the same across the board. If one contractor, or if one person, so maybe Amazon is offering stock for a certain position like they used to way back when, I'm not sure if they are still doing that now, then our third-party partners will likely, whether it's increased paid time off or increased hourly pay, something like that, to make sure the total compensation is equivalent or very close to it. Safety. So with COVID, things have gotten crazy. So I want to make sure you guys understand that we are taking every precaution we can inside of our buildings to make sure that you are safe, and we are keeping our employees in the same way they came in, just safe, healthy. So we are practicing social distancing, providing gloves, masks, cleaning, sanitizing. So we have our own in-house cleaning crew already, and have for as long as I can remember. And they are cleaning in between shift changes, during breaks, all that stuff, to make sure that everything is disinfected and clean. And then we also, in our break rooms, separated all the equipment, microwaves, chairs, all that stuff 6 feet. And then coming into the buildings, temperature controls and checks, as well as some COVID screening, stuff like that, at some buildings. So we are doing what we can to make sure that everyone is safe, and is leaving the same way they came into work. So shift schedules. It really depends on the position. So the bulk of our roles, especially from a technician standpoint, is going to be like a Sunday through Wednesday, Wednesday through Saturday. So 4 days, 10-hour days. That's going to be the bulk of them. But if it is a holiday, or if it's Prime Day, Prime Week, peak, which is Christmas, Thanksgiving time, you may be required to work an extra day. You would get compensated as such, and get that overtime opportunity. Whether it's an extra day, an extra hour, just depends on what the volume and how busy things are. Some positions, when it comes to some of the leadership positions, you may have a kind of a Monday through Friday during the day type schedule, because you would have to be on different calls, and speaking with different stakeholders and contractors and stuff like that. So again, it really depends on the position. When you apply, it will say whether it's days and nights that they are looking to fill the position, or one or the other. So if you know 100% you cannot work night shift, then when you apply, make sure you're not applying for one that has night shift only, or even says days and nights, because you won't know until you're further along in the process which one is still open. It could be that the day shift one already got filled and they're just looking for night. So just take that into consideration as well. And we are a 24/7, 365 day a year operation. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, plan on working. I know from my time working in the operation, generally Christmas we're closed, but we never guarantee it, because it really just depends on volume and business out and how crazy things might be at that given point in time. But overtime is definitely available almost always, if you are interested in getting that overtime. The hiring process. So This also, I know you guys will probably get tired of me saying this, but it depends on the position. So kind of an overview. If you are applying for a technician position, whether it's a base building tech 1, 2, 3, maintenance and AR tech 1, 2, 3. So you apply for the job online. And then you will have to take a Ramsey slotting assessment. So that's a mechanical aptitude assessment to get an understanding of what your skill sets and where you stand when it comes to this. The reason for this is we want to make sure that if you're applying for a maintenance tech 3, that you actually know how to work with the conveyance and the robotic systems and stuff of that sort and have that experience. The last thing we want to do is bring you in because you applied for a tech 3 and just we go off of you applied, so you must know, and then you don't actually know how to fix the equipment. It can be a safety concern for you, those around you. Just a lot of things could go wrong with that. So we do have the Ramsey slotting assessment that you would take early on in the application process. Then from there, based on kind of your scores, all that information, your resume, your application, that would get sent, put into our system and sent to the recruiters, hiring managers. And then from there, if they choose to move forward, they reach out, do a bit of a phone screen, and then they can set you up for a in-person interview, which could be virtual during this day and age, but an in-person interview as well as a proctored Ramsey test. So yes, another Ramsey assessment. This one is proctored. So if it is virtual, you would have to have kind of a webcam and share your screen so they can see the room and stuff like that. Again, to get a better, deeper understanding of what you know and what you don't know when it comes to kind of mechanical aspects. Once you take the in-person in the Ramsey, then if they choose to move forward, you would move forward with a contingent offer and they would do a background check, drug test, stuff of that sort. So that is for kind of the general technician positions. If you are applying for a leadership position, so an area maintenance manager, those type of positions, you would not do you do the application process, but you would not do the initial Ramsey slotting assessment. So your resume and your application would go to the recruiter. They would reach out for a phone screen, and then from there they would decide whether they want to do an in-person interview and a proctored Ramsey. From that, you would schedule it, take it, and then if they choose to move forward, you will likely have another interview, which is a suitability interview. So just a second interview, kind of in person or virtual, depending on that area and what they choose to do. And then, so after that second kind of in-person interview, if they choose to move forward, then you would go to the background check, drug test. Right now, at most of our sites in openings in Indiana, we are looking to fill as soon as possible. So if you apply and you fit that role, we'll get you an interview as soon as possible. The longest part right now is going to be the background check, drug test, because those are outsourced, so we can't speed that up. You know what I mean? We can't do that. So we have to wait for that to come back. And with all the other testing and stuff going on right now, it may slow it down a little bit depending on the area. So that's the longest part right now. But like I said, in Indiana, we are definitely in need. Greenfield, Greenwood, especially from a technician standpoint. And then I know last time I checked, we had some in Indianapolis, Gary, but we are looking to fill those as soon as possible. So you could almost, what's the date? The 3rd, you could probably have a job by Christmas in the next few weeks if you were to apply and met those qualifications today. So just a little bit about the hiring process. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these next few slides. It's just a couple examples so you guys have an idea. So a maintenance tech 2, you can see 1 and 2 years experience for a maintenance tech 2. And those are kind of the experience that they would want you to have, basic qualifications. So metal and wood fabrication, blueprint, electrical, schematic reading. So stuff like that, just to give you kind of an idea of what those qualifications would be for a tech 2. I believe next slide is a tech 3. Yep, so a tech 3. 5 years in almost everything, 3 years work order management. So again, high school diploma or equivalent, no associate bachelor required. You can see in preferred associate or higher is preferred, but it's not a deal breaker. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what type of qualifications are there for Tech 2 and 3. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 more slides of other positions. So an area maintenance manager, completed bachelor's degree in a technical discipline, industrial, electrical, mechanical, civil, etc. Internship or leadership experience in project management. So bit different, does require the degree and leadership project program management type experience, whereas the technician positions obviously require more hands-on and mechanical controls and electrical type experiences. Base building Tech 2 and 3. The best way, and Andrew can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but the best way to kind of explain the difference between a base building tech and a maintenance and AR tech is base building is more HVAC electrical in nature, and you're dealing more with the structural aspects of kind of the building and the maintenance, whereas the maintenance and AR technician, you're dealing more with the equipment itself, the robotic systems and different systems we have that way. So that's kind of the best, easiest, shortest way to kind of explain the difference. So if you see the basic qualifications are a bit different, that is why you can see firearms, HVAC, electrical, whereas those sometimes aren't on the maintenance and AR technician position. So just a little bit about that. CMMS, this is another position. Most people don't know a ton about that, but just I threw that in there so you could kind of get a better understanding of what is required there for basic and then preferred. Again, for this one, it is not required to have a bachelor's degree, preferred, but not required. So this could be another option for those that do not have that or have not finished maybe their secondary degree. So again, just our promise, this is a testimony from one of our team members that transitioned and is now with Amazon. We have a lot of different stories, a lot of different testimonies, as you guys can see with Mike and Andrew. So just wanted to kind of put that on there so you can kind of see that we do have that. And we are very military friendly and welcome and support our military friends. So these are the links. So the first one is where you would apply for any RME position with our third-party partners, and then also that link does include some of the Amazon ones. So in Indiana, those would be listed there as well. And like I had said earlier in the presentation, it would say -AMZN. That means it's with Amazon, specifically in Greenwood. I know we have 4 or 5 openings for that. Greenfield, I want to say we have 2 or 3. The next link is the RME apprenticeship program. It is there, but you can apply for that program, but they have not started going through the applications or anything like that because that program has not gone public. It won't be until early 2021. So if that's something you're interested in, I would keep an eye on this link and just kind of keep an ear out for any additional information. I did post some other links just because I generally get questions about them. So just general Amazon FC hourly positions. So picker, packer, the positions where you don't need a resume, a degree, any experience in anything, that would be where you would go to apply for those type of positions. They're not maintenance, they're just picker, packer, kind of whatever general warehouse position is available at that time. And then this bottom link, that is for all Amazon positions. They do not include our contracted ones because remember, those aren't technically Amazon positions. They are third-party partner positions. And so if there is that 20% that we do hire directly to Amazon, those would be listed on that bottom link. For the most part, excuse me. But like I said, the Greenwood area, they are Amazon positions. You are hired by Amazon. That would be in that top military 3P hires / military link. Greenwood is the area, and it will say AMZN, and it should be the Tech 2 and Tech 3 positions. So I don't think I have anything. And that's just my email and the link to apply for any of those positions. So just want to leave that there so you guys have that. And then how did I do on time? So 3:43, perfect. So if you guys kind of have any questions, we're more than happy to kind of answer questions, whether it's directed directly at one of us, general questions. We are more than happy to kind of answer to the best of our ability.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I had a question for you, and I'm going to go back to the beginning of this just for aesthetic reasons. So you mentioned earlier that you to be geographically flexible. So when someone's, going through their career progression here at Amazon, what's that look like? Are they going to be moving around a lot? Are they, is it, can you do a whole career in one place, or should you expect to be promoted and need to move?
Yeah, you can stay in one place. It's not necessarily required to where you absolutely have to move. It definitely makes it easier to promote up. If you are flexible. I know Andrew, he has kind of been in a similar position. I know he's been in Tampa for a while, but he's kind of moved through different positions in the RME field. He may be able to give some additional insight, but it's definitely not required. If you get to kind of director type positions, then it may be at that point required for you to be kind of flexible. You may be overseeing teams across the United States. So although you may not have to relocate, you would definitely have to do travel, stuff like that. So me, for example, workforce engagement program manager, I'm required to travel 75% of the time, up to 75% of the time. So it's kind of role depending, but Andrew might be able to give a little additional insights to that.
Yeah, I would say the short answer is no, you don't have any pressure of moving, right? It's like, man, that's why I got out of the military. Like, I just want to stay in one place. So there is no pressure. To Laura's point, yeah, if you really want to promote, the opportunities to promote, there might be, I think my boss offered me a promotion. Hey, you want to go to California? No, I want to stay in Florida forever. So they're not going to hold that against you. Same thing for technicians. It's up to you, like, right? So in the maintenance field, there's only a few maintenance managers at a specific site. So in order for me to kind of promote up, if the guy or girl never leaves, then I'm not going to have any opportunity. So, but if I'm content where I'm at, then that's irrelevant to me. So, but yeah, there is no real pressure to move around to continue your career.
Okay. So it sounds like it's almost similar to the military in that, like, if you're flexible to move and willing to go where the promotion is, you can get promoted faster.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. There's just more opportunities, right? Definitely more opportunities
Well, that's
if
cool.
you're open to moving. Yep.
Obviously, we want everyone's first move to be Indiana. So Andrew, you talked a little bit about your biggest takeaway being, nailing the interview and building those interview skills. What methods did you use to improve your interview skills? And then Mike, I'd be interested to see what your biggest, a piece of advice for somebody that's transitioning out of the military would be.
So for me, the first thing was practice, and as I mentor even folks in Amazon when they're going up for promotions, it's like we call them mocks, doing mock interviews. If you don't practice, and like you have, they could ask you, Amazon's got this question bank where they could ask you hundreds of different questions about leadership principles. And it's like, you could go mad trying to come up with an answer for every one. But if you have, 4 to 5 core stories that you can talk about your job or your role, you can pretty much apply those to any question anyone's going to ask you and just add details that fit that question. That way you're not sitting there stammering, trying to pull something out of your head. You have this core story that you lived in your life, and you've practiced it enough where you can just speak it naturally, and then just plug that into whatever question that you're being asked, and you'd be able to provide the quantifiable details. If they're asking you about something, you're always going to get asked questions, the interpersonal. Tell me about a time you had an issue with one of your coworkers or bosses. How did you, like, everyone has one of those. So you should have that, for the lack of a better term, memorized, where you can just kind of naturally pull it up and speak to it. That was kind of the biggest thing I had to get over, but it all gets back down to practice.
Do they ask any of those fun questions like, would you rather fight one duck-sized horse or 100? Or
They
wait, no.
don't.
No.
I heard that. I think
Stupid
Amazon
question.
used to, but yeah, they've had. I don't think we ask any of those zany questions anymore. Thank goodness.
So, and if anybody needs interview practice or interview help, we have some resources available, and we can point you guys in the right direction. We have a couple of really great partners that do interview workshops that help people build their interview skills. So, Mike, what would you say your biggest piece of advice for somebody transitioning would be?
Yeah, I'd go to my hardest part for me when I got out outside that networking piece is phone interviews. And because I could never tell, were they digging my story? Was it like hitting, but in person you can see them nodding like they like it. The phone was really hard for me. And it's probably still one of my weak points that I consistently try to improve. And then what was the follow-up question?
Well, what was your biggest piece of advice for somebody that's transitioning out of the military?
Yeah, and I think it's easy for vets. It's just be prepared. And Andrew, talked about that. And I remember I was lucky enough to have my in-person interview, via video. So if you could see my, entire wall, behind me or in front of me, it was all those stories Andrew was talking about, like 14 leadership principles, and I had like a diagram. And if you've ever, read anything about Memory Palace, I won't get too deep into that, but like how to remember things, I really just prepared overly. But what I liked about the interview process, and it helped me prepare better, was it was really focused on those leadership principles. And me being military for 14 years, very core value and mission driven. So having those guides to guide our behaviors and our expectations really helped me.
That's awesome. I've actually never heard of that, but that's a really great piece of advice to keep those on your wall behind your computer. So you have a really quick, cheat sheet to be able to jump off of. And to your point, if you're prepared enough, you probably only need, the glimpse of it. You don't have to read it. You can glimpse it and be like, oh yeah, I got to make sure I touch on that. That's a really great piece of advice. So we've covered all the roles. We've covered our transition tips. If you, and for those of you that are watching either live or the replay, we have a lot of these transition things available either through us specifically or through one of our partners. Like I said, that transition, it can seem really scary. The earlier you start, the better. And the more that you do to prepare, the better. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat to make sure I'm not missing questions, so I'm stammering a lot. The more that you prepare, the better. Go ahead, Laura.
I was going to say too, just out of curiosity, I actually don't know the question to this. Andrew, Mike, if you guys don't mind sharing, it may be kind of useful for those that are interested. When you applied for the position right out of the military or right out of whatever role you were in, I think Mike, you had another role in between. Did you get this position the first time you applied with Amazon?
So I got super lucky. I actually, my position was eliminated at my old company, and I was back to the drawing board, networking actually this time, and out of the blue, Kira Jones reached out to me and wanted to interview me for this position. And so I got super lucky. I actually thought I bombed the interviews, at least the first one for sure. It was terrible. And I went through 5 interviews. So I guess the other 4 were good, and I ended up getting the position. But yeah, LinkedIn does work, and I put my little hand up on LinkedIn saying I was looking for work. My profile was all updated, and yeah, I got super lucky.
Yeah,
Probably not the best story.
Yeah,
That's okay.
No, so mine, it was the first time I applied, but like in that transition process, I was doing one a day. Like, so out of like 30 different jobs that I applied for the month, I might have only gotten replies on 2, or it was like 10%. So although I got lucky with this being the first one, the carpet bombing all the companies, it took me, I was at about a 10% response rate. So I
Gotcha.
think everything just fell in place. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I asked that too because I know I get a lot of kind of LinkedIn messages or emails and stuff like that. Like, hey, can you help me? I've applied for 100 jobs on Amazon and I haven't heard back. And the I welcome those messages because I do want to help anybody that I possibly can. And I know Mike and Andrew, you guys are the same way. But I just want to kind of emphasize, know what you're interested in. And if you are networking on LinkedIn and stuff like that, try and lean towards people that are in industry similar to yours or position similar to yours. Because unfortunately, I personally get a lot that are IT related that would be great fit for like Amazon Web Services or something like that. And we're not able to kind of pass out recruiter information. And although I have a couple contacts that I can forward that your information to within there, it doesn't help as much as if you were to reach out to them directly. So feel free to reach out to us, but just make sure as you are doing your networking, try and focus on people that are in positions similar to what you're interested in, and make sure you're making those connections and reaching out to them as well, as opposed to just kind of anyone and everyone that may not kind of benefit you as much. Mike and Andrew kind of were ones that did get it on their first interview, but I know so many great employees within Amazon that transitioned out and took them a handful of times, and they are amazing assets within Amazon. So that was kind of the point I was trying to make there. Don't give up.
Yeah, and on the networking piece, one of the things that we really encourage folks to do is find a mentor. Find somebody that's in an industry that you want to be in, or even in a company that you want to be in. And even if that's not a recruiter that's going to hire you, find out what it's like working there. What is it like working in this industry? What's the day-to-day like? What can I do to position myself in a better light to make sure that my resume gets read by a human being? Things like that are the type of things that you'd be really surprised at how open folks are. Even if it's just a cold LinkedIn message to, hey, I'm a transitioning veteran. I really want to work at Amazon, and I want to make sure I'm putting myself in the best position to get through the interview process. What tips would you be able to give me? So like, don't be afraid to do things like that. Jerry and Jeremy, the two members of my veteran engagement team, love this phrase: networking is one letter away from not working. So if you are not networking, you are not doing your best effort in making sure that you get a great career directly out of the military. So I think that, what I want to, on behalf of InVets, thank all three of you, Mike, Laura, and Andrew, for coming. I think I speak for the whole team. We really appreciate it. It's awesome to be able to have you guys on. For everybody that joined us live, thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day. We've dropped in the chat information on everyone's LinkedIn so that you can connect with everyone. All of the links that were in the PowerPoint are now in this chat, so you can access them directly. And then we have the link to our website as well as a way to build a profile if you have not already. I hope that everybody has a really great holiday season. I hope that Thanksgiving went well for everybody, and whichever holiday you have coming up in the next few weeks, that goes really, really well for everybody. Stay safe, and thank you everybody for coming out. And we will see you guys at the next employer workshop.
Awesome.
you.
Thank you all.